I felt the need to create this video for both sides of the people involved in every salon, skin clinic or med spa, for the employees and for the employers. But before I go on, I want to clarify the references I use in this video. Every country refers to employees and the businesses in their industry differently. So for the sake of brevity, I will be using the references used here in Australia. From this point forward, I will refer to beauty therapists or estheticians as therapists, beauty salons, skin clinics or med spas as salons, and in addition, I will use the feminine pronoun of she for both men and women. There is such huge movement in the beauty industry, with therapists not lasting very long in one job before moving to the next. And I believe that this is for two reasons. The first being lack of clarity around their expectations. Therapists don't really understand fully what is expected of them and what they need to do to meet those expectations. And secondly, what they are paid. There is no clarity around what a therapist should be paid or deserves to be paid. Now, I want to tell you that there is a very important correlation between what a therapist is paid and the revenue she needs to generate for that pay. And it concerns me that most employees and even some employers don't fully understand it. I believe that if everyone understood, things would be a lot simpler and a lot clearer in our industry. I'm creating this video to explain what this correlation needs to be and, most importantly, why. The correlation between what a therapist is paid and the revenue she needs to generate for that pay is referred as the therapist to wages revenue percentage. And this percentage needs to be at 25%. A 25 wages to revenue ratio. So what does this mean? It means that the total annual wage of each therapist must never exceed 25% of the revenue she generates in a year. In other words, a business owner can afford to pay a therapist up to 25% of the revenue she generates. Any more than that is not profitable. Put another way, a therapist needs to produce 4 times her wage to be considered a viable and reasonably profitable employee of the business. Why? Unlike most other industries, therapists are predominantly the revenue-generating employees of the business. It's not like anybody on a shop floor can service any client that walks in. With therapists, it's very specific. And here's what this means. At the end of the year, the total revenue of the business is directly tied to what each therapist employee produces inside of every appointment she has with a client. It's not like a retail store where one employee can serve more than one customer in a 1-hour time slot. For a therapist, every time slot is dedicated to one client, never more. She can't serve 2 or 3 clients in the one time slot. And what this means is that every minute of a therapist's time needs to account for some generation of revenue. If an hour is lost or not enough revenue is made in that hour, there is no one else that can generate revenue to compensate for this loss. Make sense? Service industries like ours are based on an exchange of time for money. That's why there are so many more employees in a beauty business than there are in any other non-service business. For example, a clothing store could make $5,000 in a day with only 1 or 2 people rostered. For a salon to generate $5,000 in a day, it will require 4 to 5 therapists on the floor, at least. So can you see? Money being made is directly tied to a therapist. And as the therapists are the ones generating the revenue for the business, what each produces needs to contribute towards covering the following. As we said, 25% of what they produce goes towards covering their own wage. 5% goes towards covering the wages of non-revenue generating employees, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. 50% of that goes towards all other expenses of the business, and then 20% of that is what's supposed to go to profit. This is what 4 times her wage needs to look like. This is where the revenue a therapist generates needs to be split. So just knowing this alone, does it seem like a fair distribution of the revenue? Let's now look at every item at a time. Okay, so what is profit? Profit is the money that is required to pay back any business loans, reinvest into the business for any expansion reasons, renovation, growth strategies, equipment, that kind of thing. And if there's anything left, then what's left goes to the business owner. The benchmark every small business needs to follow is a profit margin of 20% plus. Any less than that is not worth the investment, risk, time, losses, and sacrifices a business owner will make during the life of her business. 20% profit is a very important figure. Now, I want to share something with you. According to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 20% of businesses fail in the first year. 30% fail by the end of the second year, 50% fail by the end of the fifth year, and 70% fail by the end of the 10th year. So think about it. Over 10 years, only 3 out of 10 businesses will still be remaining. And they are the businesses that have aimed at making a 20% profit. Any less than that means that the business won't last for long, and it will only be a matter of time. So it's important that everybody truly understands there has to be money made to be reinvested back into the business to pay back business loans, and of course, what is referred to as the wage of the business owner. So many owners don't make money in the first few years or more. So it's really important to understand that every business has to aim for 20% profit. Now, 50% of the revenue generated by each therapist needs to go towards contributing, paying off all of the expenses of the business. Costs such as the cost of retail products sold, the cost of the products that are used in treatments like the masks, the serums, the peels, everything that goes with it. Rent, a massive business expense. Utilities, that's things like telephone, water, electricity, etc. Marketing, promotion, advertising. Point of sale system, that's a very big expense for the business, as is training. Training is a massive expense for the business. Linen or a linen service, a big expense to the business, bigger than most people think, whether it's washing and drying, and that's going to inflate electricity and water bills, or a linen service if you pay for that for an external service to do the washing for you. It needs to cover insurance and endless other expenses of the business. There's a lot that this 50% needs to cover. Then there's 5% of the revenue generated that needs to go towards paying the wages of non-revenue generating employees, receptionists, managers, and trainees, the people that support the therapists in doing their job. Employees that are very important to the business, yet don't directly generate the revenue. If they do, it's minimal. And then, of course, 25% will go towards the wages of a therapist. And that 25% has to be the maximum a business owner pays for a therapist. So if a therapist is paid award, then it needs to cover the award wage as well as bonuses paid. Or if a therapist is paid straight out above award, then the business owner needs to make sure that whatever she pays above the award is 25% or less. It can't be more. Any more will change the percentages around. So if the percentage of the therapist's wage increases to 27 or 30 or whatever percent, then that means that the profit will suffer. And remember what I said, profit can't be less than 20%. So now let's get some perspective by putting some dollars to these percentages. Let's say a therapist produces $233,648 in a year. We said that 20% of that needs to contribute to the profit of the business. So out of that money, $46,730 will be contributing to profit. 50% of that will go towards paying the other business expenses in the business, $116,824. 5% of what she produces needs to go towards paying any other non-revenue generating employees, whether it's receptionists, managers, trainees, or a combination of the three. And that'll be $11,682. And then, of course, $58,412 is what is paid to the therapist, her own wage. Now I want to take you over to an Excel sheet that will demonstrate the calculation of what a full-time diploma qualified beauty therapist in Australia on the award wage totally earns in a year to get an even stronger perspective. For businesses outside of Australia, simply use this as an example to understand all of the inclusions, to understand everything that is paid by the business. Because most commonly therapists work 4 days of the working week and a Saturday, her likely roster will be 30.5 hours during the week, Monday to Friday, and 7.5 hours on a Saturday. At the time of this recording, October 2021, these are the different pay rates. $25.09 Monday to Friday, $33.37 on a Saturday, and if a therapist works on a Sunday, the rate would be $50.18. Most salons in Australia don't open Sundays. The calculator calculates that she earns $1,052 every week she works during the year. As she works for 46 weeks a year, this equates to $46,713.92. For 4 of the weeks that she works, she will receive $3,813.68 when she takes her annual leave. Plus she'll earn another $667.39 for annual leave loading. When she takes personal leave, she'll be paid $1,906.84. In addition, she'll be paid 10% superannuation on all of this, which is $5,310.18, with a grand total of $58,412.02, total annual wages for the year. This is the total amount of money every employer pays out for every single full-time therapist that is on the award wage. So if a therapist needs to generate 4 times her wage, I'm going to input here in the productivity multiplier 4. And the calculator will tell me that over a year, she will need to generate $233,648.07 over that period. Does that figure look familiar? It's the revenue figure I used in the not-so-random example earlier in this video. Weekly, she needs to produce $5,079.31 and hourly, $133.67. Now I want to show you the contrast of what would happen if we paid a therapist above the award wages. Let's say a therapist is paid $32 an hour. I'll change the hourly rates appropriately, and whoa, she's now earning $70,491.52 a year, which means to fall under the 25% therapist wages to revenue benchmark, she will need to produce $281,996.08. She'll in fact be earning an additional $12,000 than any other award-paid therapist. So to make sure that we have enough money to cover all of the expenses and profit we talked about earlier, she'll need to produce $30,695.13 more than an award beauty therapist. Now, if she does produce that kind of revenue, the business owner would be delighted to pay her $32 an hour because not only the revenue increased, but also the profit increased. But here's the all-important question everybody needs to ask. What if she doesn't produce the $281,996 in the year? What if she only produced the $233,648? Then here's the truth that nobody can ignore. This therapist's wage to revenue is now 30%. 5% more than what a business can afford to pay. And that 5% has to come from somewhere. It has to come from the profit, dropping the profit levels to 15%. And this is when it happens that a business is starting to lose money, when there isn't enough money in the business to be reinvested, to pay loans, and of course, to pay the business owner. This is the truth about what a therapist is paid and what she needs to be paid. So here's my message to both therapists and employers. You can only have one remuneration structure, either a high base rate or a bonus incentives on productivity incentive system, not both. So to the employers, here's what I have to tell you. Paying above award as a base rate without the corresponding high productivity necessary is financial suicide. Don't do it. It's a poor business model. And here's my message to therapists. When your pay structure is award plus bonuses on productivity, your potential is way higher than a few dollars an hour above the award rate. High performers on an incentive program are earning close to double their wage, in excess of $50 an hour. By wanting a higher than base rate, you are limiting your earning potential. And why would you want to do that to yourself? Don't limit what you can earn. Understand that the best, fairest, and most generous way of paying high-performing therapists is through a base wage and a very generous incentive program. One that makes sure that no matter what you earn, it will always fall under the 25% therapist wages to revenue benchmark that everybody needs to follow. I really hope everybody understands this, because this is the problem in our industry. The way the pay structure and the expectation structure is currently happening, no one wins, not the business owner and not the employee. I really hope you found this video useful. This is the first of many free trainings ahead, and by subscribing and hitting that notification button, you'll be one of the first to gain access to what's ahead, and you'll be helping me get the word out so that together we can elevate the professionalism and reputation of the aesthetic industry. Be sure to subscribe, save, like, share, and comment below. I love answering your questions. Until next time, my name is Bridget Benge. Bye for now.